Well, good evening, fellow explorers of the paranormal, and even to those that don't explore but are paranormal enthusiasts that sit at home to watch the shows and podcasts like this, we welcome you as well. Tonight's show is going to be very interesting. I'm your host, Greg Myers, and KD is normally the co-host with me, but he went out on an emergency electronics call for where he works for, and has to go out and fix something. Of course, the paranormal mad scientist. But it's not paranormal related. This one's actually work related. But he's going to be in his studio very shortly. But until then, we have his lovely wife, KT, filling in for him. So if you want to come in and say hi, KT. Oh my God. The mad scientist is here. There's KD. So I guess he's in taking over. I want to apologize for the delay of starting, Chew.
What in the heck she got going on here?
Well, we thought we were live and we had to back up and restart. we're doing a do-over.
You're good. Thank you. Love you.
So there he is, the man himself, KD, the paranormal mad scientist.
Hello, everybody.
Well, welcome thank you, Kate.
Oh, you already did that.
So and thank your lovely wife.
Thank you, Katie. You need to bring people on. Love you.
After all, this is a podcast, so
coffee, hon?
Yes, I'll bring it.
Thank you.
But we have variables in play. But we have two amazing guests. We have Dave Glidden, which has been in the paranormal for 20 years, and he does a phenomenal amount of work. A lot of documentaries, YouTube channels. We'll let him tell you about some of it, or KD, but KD could just bring him on in to let him say hi and tell you himself.
Say hello, David.
Hello, David. Thanks you guys for having me on. Thanks for having me on. I in the middle of moving, so
sorry, David.
You're getting me dizzy.
No.
What's going on, man?
I'll let you figure it out if you can.
No, go ahead. You're good. I'm sorry. My bad. I was trying to. This is weird.
Right. I'm in the process of moving, so all my major bills are shut down. So here I am in my car podcasting. But no, I have.
Glad. We'll take you any way we can get you, David.
I told you I would be on here. By God, I'm going to be on here.
By God, you're here.
Well, that's how good the paranormal pays people's bills. See, Dave's living out in his car now. So,
yeah. If you would like to send to my GoFundMe,
hit me on my cash app.
A lot of people assume that some of us in the paranormal get rich off of it, but that's few and far in between. So,
yeah, his name's Zach Baggins. That's it. That's the only one.
And then we have another guest also on the show. It's Rick Mester. He's a local musician from the St. Louis area, and he has a paranormal experience that kind of aligns with what Dave specializes in somewhat. So I'll let KD bring in Rick Mester.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Look at
that. What's up, Rick? How you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you guys?
Oh, we're great. We're great. So Rick you're an experimental musician. Is that what you would call that?
Oh man, I play lots of styles. My main project is Sombrance, which is kind of a dark rock band. But Ishur Ninku is my side thing. It's kind of ambient, instrumental.
I like it.
Chill. More modern years, I've played a lot of dumb stuff. I have a warped sense of humor, so I like to write songs about my friend John and, stupid things, just to keep the writer's block away,
Right. Well, you fit right in here with warped senses of humor. Ain't that right, David? Greg?
Perfect.
Yeah. And we want to point out, too, that the intro song that came into this podcast was actually Rick's Ishur Ninku project. It was a song called Dawn of Ra.
Yeah, man, that rocks, dude.
Which goes back.
This is it. This is the intro song. As soon as I heard it, I was like, bro, this guy's you know, like kind of an X-Files vibe, and bros, I like it.
And that song and Rick's music goes back a long way with Paranormal Task Force, because in the beginning, when we could, you know, it was cool to have music on your website, I actually featured Rick and some other local musicians on each page of the website, you know, having a different song featured that played. And actually, Rick's on the big KMOX radio here in St. Louis, when we went there to do an interview for them back in the day, they actually brought that up and played on a raw over there on the biggest AM station at the time.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So both of these dudes have something in common that we brought on the show tonight. Mr. David Glidden here. He's a very astute. Let's see. What was I gonna say? He's kind of an expert on the Spook Light. I think you're like the best expert I know on the Spook Light of Joplin.
I mean,
would you be the expert?
I've probably done the most on it. So
sure. So you are the expert.
Yeah.
And then we got Rick here, who has had an experience with the Spook Light. So David, I watched your Into the Light. I've seen that several times, but I watched it again today. And so tell us about your experience before we go to Rick's. I want to know what your overall, like, what's the biggest thing that happened to you out there that really, and maybe not in the documentary, but just period, right? Like, you've been out there so many times.
I'll just lead it into a certain point, because I think it'll be important to alleviate some of the information until Rick gets his in as well.
Okay.
But the blanketing statement basically for what I've done with the Spook Light and films that I've done is, I live south of Joplin. This area, everybody knows about the Joplin Spook Light, or the Hornet Spook Light. It's got several different names, Devil's Promenade, so on and so on. But it hit me one day. I was really wanting to get into doing some film work and getting into documentaries and stuff, because I had my show Haunting History running for a couple of years now, and I was like, damn it, I want to do something bigger. And looking for a subject matter, I wanted to find something that wasn't overly saturated. And as I was digging and looking through like YouTube and stuff like that, there wasn't hardly anything about the spook lights, yet it's in this area, it's such a prevalent thing. So I talked to Josh Hurd, and we talked about maybe doing something on the spook lights, and I kind of talked him into it. And, you know, as we dug into it, that's when everything just started coming to light, no pun intended. But like, all this information started coming up that I didn't know about, and I know a lot of people in this area had no idea about. And one of the fascinating things that we discovered was the fact that the light phenomenon, it's not something just located in Joplin. Like, this is something that happens worldwide. There's several places around the world that have this kind of thing going on, and in every instance, it's pretty much unexplainable. There's a few places that they have determined a theory about what it could be, but at this point, the majority of the locations, they don't know. Now Joplin, and like a lot of these other places, has a really vast history. The one in Joplin has been cited before settlers. In fact, the Native Americans had tales of this going back over 200 years, and varying tales throughout the years lead to different legends and lore. Same with like ghost hunting or anything. There's always legends and lore, and it gets passed down through generations. And, you know, the telephone game, people misconstrue things, and then it gets to a point where everybody wants to go see it, and people have varying experiences. And a lot of the experiences vary from, like with Joplin, the experiences will vary from seeing something in the distance to seeing it up close and personal. So at that point, I'm going to let Rick go ahead and talk about his experience out there.
Okay. Well, firstly, I would like to say
good job, David.
Yeah, definitely excited that David is on here. This is one of those experiences. I don't know about you guys, but I personally like to compartmentalize things. When I see something, I like to be able to, in my mind, say, this is how I explain what I saw. This is the one thing in my life that I have seen that I can't really explain. I can't really compartmentalize it. So, but it happened about 25 years ago. We were several of us, some guys from my band, some guys from another band, and our manager and a couple other, some family members. Our manager used to live in Joplin, and she used to have a little club out there. And she decided one weekend she wanted to go visit, and so we went. Got to a hotel. It was like 11:30 at night, and she knew a guy who owned a limo company out there. Oddly enough, she's like, "Hey, you guys want to go drive around in a limo at midnight?" And we were all like, hanging out in the hotel. So,
hanging out the window of the limo.
So we were like, yeah, let's go. Well, Justin and I climbed in the back. Justin Detail, guitar player from another band, one of my most talented friends. He's an insanely gifted songwriter. My gosh. If I had had more foresight, I would have asked you guys to have him on here too, because
we can do that in the future.
He's hilarious. But Justin and I were, we were like, oh, hey, a limo. So we climbed in the back, and they had a Nintendo in there. And so we're playing Nintendo hockey. Just to us, we're thinking, this is the coolest thing in the world. We're playing Nintendo in a car, and it's 99 or 2000, whatever.
Felt like Biggie Smalls.
Yeah, we thought this is. And so meanwhile, the grown-ups were in the front talking, and they started saying, hey, let's go see the Spook Light. You guys want to go see the Spook Light? Well, Justin and I are like, I don't even know what that is. So we don't care. We're playing hockey back here. So they start taking off, and we ended up on this gravel road. David, you might even know what gravel road it is, but it was like Justin and I, we every once in a while we'd look up and we're like, man, we haven't seen a house forever. And this is just woods and gravel. Yep. And we're like, what is the purpose of this road? Where does it go? Because there's no houses, there's nothing. And after a while, we got bored with the hockey, and we started just looking out the back window of the limo. And it was around then that I saw it and he saw it. We both were kind of like, I don't want him to think I'm crazy. I don't know, but it felt like it was a star. Because, out there in the country, you could just see the sky. It was beautiful, like just nothing inhibiting it. But all of a sudden, it felt like one of the stars just went, just and started. It was like it was following us. It was at a distance. And we were both like, what is that? Now, mind you, of course, there's no drones at this time that we're aware of, like there was no cell phone. We didn't have cell phones to take pictures of anything.
Not 99.
Yeah. And there was no like properties or anything. There was no street lights. There was nothing. So we're like watching this thing going, what is going on? And the limo guy, I wish I could remember his name, but he was like, oh my gosh, that's the Spook Light. Yeah. And Justin and I are kind of like, oh, okay. And it's just like following us. And so he crests over this hillside on this road and just stops on it, like parks the limo, shuts it off. And Justin and I are like, all right, let's get out. So we get out, and we're just kind of standing there on the gravel road. And I don't know, like 30 seconds later, the thing comes up over the hill, and it's like above the tree line. And it's like this, I can describe it like an orb of light, and it was liquid like, and it just flowed freely. It moved in ways that, if it was not modern times, you could say, well, it's a spotlight. Somebody's just moving, because it moved too freely, right?
Yeah.
But back then, and it made zero sound, and we just sat and watched it, and it just sat there. It lit up the area because it was dark. There was nothing, no civilization, just this road, and it lit up the area. We weren't scared or anything. We weren't like, freaked out. We were mesmerized. We're like, what is this thing? And I mean, it's not dark here right now. This thing is lighting up, but it didn't go below the tree line. It just sort of like danced around there, just all the way around. And man, it wasn't like 2 minutes. It was there for a little while. I mean, we were like, it hung out. Well, then he goes back over the hill. The limo guy, we all hop back in the car. He turns around and starts driving back over the hill. And it's over there, and it just goes all the way back up into the sky. So we're like,
oh, that's wild.
Okay. So he turns around again and starts going the other way. And then it starts following us again. And it comes back down out of the sky. And Justin and I are like going, what is going on? What is this thing? So we go through the street, the road, and it goes to another like hill. We pull over, do the same thing, get out. This time it doesn't come. This time it was gone. And, we were just kind of sitting out there and waiting for it. And it didn't come back. But to this day, I'm like, I don't know what it is that I saw.
So did you have like, so you didn't have any kind of, there was no kind of vibe that came with it for you?
No. And I mean, honestly, both myself and Justin were, in bands. Well, we're both believer, Christians, and we didn't feel like, I didn't feel any sort of like demonicness or anything about it. I didn't feel any sort of threat. It was, I can't say that I even felt that it was sentient or anything like that. I don't know. I truly don't know what it was. I kind of fall in that weird place between Mulder and Scully.
Sure.
Where I can
Skeptical believer.
Yeah.
Believer.
I want to believe. You're like, I want to believe that there's some stuff that I can't explain, but I also, like with Scully, I'm going, there's a way to explain it.
Sure.
A paranormal agnostic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, skeptical believer is what I like to say. Like you believe in the possibility, the potential, but yet you're skeptical. Most times it seems like for lack of experiences. What's up, David? Go ahead. Sorry.
I did have a question about that, about your experience. Like if you remember back, do you remember if there was any illumination bouncing off any of the trees, or like any kind of light reflecting back? Like was it putting off ambient light?
Yeah, like it. I mean, it lit up the area. I can't say that there was like bouncing. I mean, it felt like, somebody turning on a pretty big light, but it wasn't like any light that I know of now. Because like in and of itself, it was liquidy,
undulating.
Right. Yeah, and it wasn't a perfect form all the time. It was, perfectly. And it moved.
About how close do you think it came to you guys?
The trees weren't super tall, so let me guess. Maybe 30 feet up they were.
Oh wow.
But it didn't come down below the tree line, which says, I don't know what it says, but there was no, because one of the first things we were starting to look at was like, is some farmer out here like shooting some kind of like
flares or something?
But there was no anything. There was no houses. There was no civilization. It was just woods.
Yeah, why would somebody just be out there to set you up just out of nowhere with a flare in the sky? I don't think that would. I mean, you might have a really good buddy who's willing to go to that lengths, but I doubt it. I don't even.
That was.
So another thing I was wondering would be like, did you notice like any interference with, like, say you guys were playing the Nintendo? Did you guys notice any interference with electronics? Anything with the car? Feel any static feel or anything like that? That you can remember?
No, and actually it's funny because I don't know if you guys, Justin actually is watching right now, so it's pretty cool.
This is Justin. What's up, Justin?
Is he on?
Well, no, I just put through his name up there. And
okay. Yeah,
you can be. I mean, I can send him a link.
Yeah, you can send him the link and drag him in. I'll take a break, and because that makes.
We
for
can
a
all
better
five
show.
be in here. We can have a fivesomes.
That would be
the link.
Amazing.
Well, I gotta go potty. Anyway.
Oh, weird.
We'll break the seal.
Right. Yeah, and Justin pointed out in the chat there that in the very end it actually did split into two.
Right. And that's cool. So David, what do you think? Like, have you ever talked to anybody who had an experience that close?
Actually, yeah. It's not uncommon to find some people that have had close encounters with it. During our research, and we did a lot of interviews, and already knew a lot of people that had gone out there and to experience it. The Joplin Spook Light, like I said, it was a popular thing, and especially back in like the 60s and 70s and 80s, like a lot of people would go out there, and from the 90s to the 2000s, like it started getting bad where people would go out there and they would set fires in the middle of the road and
vandalize stuff,
vandalize it, spray paint it, like
that's the way it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'll say it's on E50 road, which is a paved road now, and it sits in between Quapaw, Oklahoma, and Joplin, or this little town called Hornet. So it's on this paved road, and a lot of people would go out there. They would park on the side of the road. Well, you can't do that anymore, because a lot of people do live out there now, and they have a problem with people parking out there, and the police will actually either fine you or they will tow your vehicle away.
Yeah, when we went down for the Paracon down there.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out with you guys and PRI and everybody. We went out there and we couldn't get to the road. We couldn't go out onto the road, but we went as close as, probably safe.
So what I did was took everybody to a dirt road. So running parallel to E50 is E40. On that dirt road, whenever I did the first film, the first night I was out there, Josh Hurd and we saw this blue light just appear on the road. It stretched the width of the road, didn't go any further, and it was there, and it collapsed within 3 seconds. And of course, we weren't rolling cameras. It always happens when you're not filming, but it had enough illumination where it lit up the tree that was overhanging on the road, but it didn't light up the ditches or the fields. So, we thought it was maybe a car was coming and turned off somewhere, and we caught a glare, and we tried to recreate it. We couldn't. So it was just an odd experience. But through our interviews, people had said that they've experienced the light moving through fields. People have had it come up to them and come through their car. One story that I remember was my friend John. He had his brother's car, and he was out there with some girl. The light came up to the car and started coming through the windshield, and he threw it in reverse, and they backed into a ditch. Kind of screwed up his brother's car. His brother had to come out and get it.
And blame it on the spook light.
Yeah. I've had a lot of other people tell me that they've seen it come through their car, but they also described kind of a staticky feel, which was interesting to me.
That's interesting to me also.
Because with the staticky feel, I don't know how it correlates to my ultimate explanation of the lights, but it's an interesting aspect of it.
That would tell me it has an electromagnetic effect, basically.
Yeah.
Well, triboelectric at a minimum, so it's going to be a difference in electrons there enough to cause static. The static, when it discharges is high. It discharges at high voltage. So, I think, obvious. Well, it's not obvious. It's the thing. It's kind of like the go-to, kind of like swamp gas, what it used to be,
Yeah.
But obviously, it's not a swamp out there. Not really. And,
there's not a swamp. Bioluminescence is another big proponent for people trying to explain things.
Yeah, unknown lights.
Piezoelectric energy.
Ball lightning, like plasma balls is, and I was, they couldn't recreate it for a long time, like in the lab, right?
Oh, they did. They had to use it. Had to use plasma to do it.
Now, my question is, did you see the video of this? And you can't believe anything you see. And I wish I could have had time to find it before I got on here. But there's a video of what looks like a plasma ball, but it's like arcing and stuff, and it's
traveling over train tracks.
Was it over train tracks? I can't remember exactly.
That video is actually a fake. That was somebody created that in After Effects.
Yeah, you can't believe anything you see. I was a little suspect about it too. I just was curious if you had seen it. But
Yeah.
you know, ball lightning. I don't think it would be ball lightning. Now, I will. You know, this is just my take, real quick. You know, you're the expert, obviously, but you know, the plasma that comes from the sun, or the energy that comes from the sun, right? There's theories that it builds up in the plates, and the tectonic plates, and then it releases in weird ways, and it can cause plasma effects, high voltage effects, static,
energy discharge,
right?
sure.
And so it'll also charge up the atmosphere, and it has to come out. And a lot of people think that's why we've been having so many like earthquakes and volcanoes erupting lately, is because of the sun's 10-year cycle. We're at the end of it, right? And so the end of the cycle is supposed to be the strongest part of the cycle, and we've been getting hit with all these different. But that's just recently. I don't know. What do you think about that?
With the as far as the energy coming back up out of the earth, that's the piezoelectric energy. That is when two different minerals like quartz and let's say limestone, they grind on each other, they can release energy.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody's ever tried this. If you've got a big crystal at home, get like a Dremel, turn off the light and cut it in half,
or hit it with a hammer.
You'll see a lightning show inside the crystal.
Yeah, if you hit it with a hammer, you'll get a big flash and a spark, and it's super cool. Yeah.
Now in Norway, the Hasdalen lights, there's a research facility that's underneath where the lights are seen, and that one they have concluded that it is ball lightning because it sits in the right area, the atmosphere is right for the conditions, and but through that study, that's where a big part of the idea of plasma comes in, because when lightning strikes or anytime you see lightning, that's the only visible time you'll see plasma that's not in a candle flame.
Sure.
I think it's interesting. You guys have said plasma several times, because that's a good word to describe the way the orb looked to me.
Right. That's what I envisioned when you were describing it. That's kind of like, because I play with a lot of high voltage, and that's exactly what I was.
But I will say, I know there were, other than the visual of it and the light it gave off, there was no sound to it at all, no smell.
Nope.
I got no.
And you see, that's interesting that you said no smell, because when you have high voltage like that, any form of plasma around, you're going to smell ozone, right?
Yeah.
And something like that, because plasma, the high voltage discharge, causes the ozone to build up. It's just the chemical release in the air and everything. So it's interesting that you said you didn't get a smell. So you've thought about this.
Well, we were trying to figure it out. At least I know. I was thinking, I'm like, the only thing I smell is Justin. I'm kidding, but there was no smell. I mean, and I got no like static, no feeling of any of that. It really was this phenomena where it's just dancing around the top of the trees, going all around, and its movement was so fluid, and just not like some old computer program where it's like tick 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 tick, whatever. It just moved however it like it wanted to, just fluid. Yeah. And the whole time, the area we were in, surrounded by trees, this hill, gravel road going down, the little area is just lit up, almost it was lit up more than if there were like a full moon and no trees.
Wow.
We were like,
Rick.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, did it keep a perfect round shape?
No.
Spherical shape, or did it like transform?
I always said it was like jelly. It just kind of,
undulated.
And then like
undulating is a cool big word that I know.
Yeah,
I was about to say undulating.
There you go.
I'll text that word to myself. But like Justin said, then at the very end, it split in two. And so I think that kind of takes a little bit away from, there was no, here's the light and then there's a ray to it or anything like that. It was literally pitch black everywhere except this light, and then it lit up the area. You know, and what I found the weirdest is when we tried to chase it, how it literally within just a split second was shooting up and into the stars. Like it was just that fast. It was just gone.
And that is the thing with the Joplin Spook Light. If you approach it, it actually moves away from you.
Do you think that means what do you think? Do you think that means it's intelligent, David, or do you think that that's just some sort of effect that like the atmosphere just period has on it? Like if you go, you know, like let's say a static charge, right? Let's say you go to grab a styrofoam cup and you got a little static charge in your hand and the cup slides over, right?
Or think about two magnets, how you can reverse polarity, you can push them away. It could be something to that effect. But I wouldn't say there's necessarily intelligence behind it. Based off of the things that I've experienced and researched, you know, I think what we're seeing with the lights is the back end of another phenomenon.
And where are you going with this, David? Where are you going with this, David?
Okay. The spoiler alert, we're gonna get into some of this talk from Into the Light 2.
Well, don't spoil your video. Everybody who's watching
it's fine. It's
needs
been
to go
out for
watch
years.
the video. It's been out for 4 years, but that doesn't matter. You need to go watch it anyway to get the full girth.
They can see the process. So on Into the Light 1, you know, after we filmed it, you know, we went out to the Brown Mountains and captured some amazing stuff. And this is one thing I wanted to point out too, was with the idea of plasma, the density of this plasma has to be thick enough to create enough density to where it can reflect heat and temperature and light. At the Brown Mountains, we were actually able to capture one of them on a thermal imager. And if anybody knows anything about thermal imaging, it's not like you can't just
it sees IR. It's basically seeing heat,
and it's got to reflect that heat back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So like if a beam goes out and it stops and it hits something, it's going to pick up that object. If it goes through that, like say air or, you know, looking through water, you're not going to. But this had enough density to where it actually showed up on thermal imaging. We caught photographs of it moving, long exposure shots. We actually got video of it moving out at the Brown Mountains.
There was another guy, speaking of the Brown Mountains real quick, and you said you were using thermal imaging, right? There was, I can't remember his name. I think it was another guy. It wasn't Josh. It might've been, no, I don't think it was Josh. It's been a while back. It's an old video that I saw. And, they were looking at it with like military night vision goggles, right?
Yes.
And they ended up capturing a blue signature through the night vision goggles, which I know, like, that's crazy, right? Like what could even cause that? I have never even seen that. I've wore night vision goggles like so many times.
Yeah, you look at what other people are wearing in night vision, and it's usually like this pale green color.
It's not really night vision.
Yeah. If you're wearing black, it's going to come up as like a white color for the most part, unless it's a certain type of material.
Right.
So, like, what would cause a blue light in night vision? That's crazy to me.
Especially military grade, because you only see green. That is it. Like, you know, some like full spectrum, I say that, but it's just no filter cameras. They'll pick up, it'll look black and white, but then it might go purple, and then it'll go, you know, it'll kind of go in and out with the lighting in the room, right? And so, but with night vision, military night vision goggles, you're using like basic ambient. You don't need an IR flash. You don't need anything. You're seeing stuff just from the ambient light from the atmosphere.
Yep.
And that's pretty crazy that they captured like a blue signature on the Brown Mountain Spook Light.
And that was one of the reasons we actually went out there, was because I had seen that video, and
you saw it too.
I knew that this was going on out there, and nobody knew anything about it. So after we filmed out there and the film is over and everything, that's when I read up about the creation in the lab and everything. So I had a podcast called Paranormal Frequencies, and during the time we were doing the podcast, one of our episodes was on CERN, the Hadron Collider. And at that time, they had released an article talking about how they're opening up like these little black holes, these tiny, tiny black holes. But whenever they would do that and they'd collapse it, there would be trace elements of plasma being left behind, which I thought was fascinating because it just doesn't happen.
Sure.
So we get into
black holes shouldn't just happen either. So
yeah,
that's you're gonna get that, That's
so moving into the light too. One of the locations we went to was the Board Camp Crystal Mine down in Mena, Arkansas. And they were experiencing lights, but it's a crystal camp. So like you can mine for crystals there on the property and, you get that kind of energy. But when we got there, it just takes this big left turn because not only were they seeing these balls of light, but they were experiencing other phenomena. One of the things was around the time they started seeing the balls of light, their son came out and they had a stage built out there, and up on the hills where they call the event site, they were all three sitting out there watching these little lights. But all of a sudden, these 3 beams of light shot up from the event site about 300 feet into the air and were cut off at the top. They were there for about 10 seconds and then they were gone. And when they went to investigate it, they found out that all the tools that were up there, the metal fence posts, everything was magnetized, and there were scorch marks on the trees. They don't know what they thought. Somebody was out there with a spotlight or something, which would be very hard to do.
You'd have to have a pretty strong spotlight too to do some scorching, or like a maybe a laser, like a superpower laser, maybe UV laser.
Yeah.
IR laser maybe, so you didn't see it.
So that there goes a little bit beyond the spook lights. But in my head, being a paranormal guy, one of the first things I think of is, well, if it's cut off at the top, then there had to have been something up there for it to hit. So if there was a craft there, perhaps they were seeing some kind of UFO activity. Well, then they started taking us on a tour of the property, and they started showing us Bigfoot habitats, things that you would see in a Bigfoot show, like trees being pulled over and interwoven into other trees, unnatural formations, rocks being stacked, rocks being lined up on logs. The craziest thing that I saw out there was this. It was probably about a 20-foot section of a tree from the base of the trunk to the top, up inside, like up in trees that were on the edge of a 30-foot cliff. Like somehow this tree got put horizontally in the top of trees at the edge of a cliff. They don't know how that happened. I have no explanation for it except for a tornado maybe, but
supercell maybe, I don't know.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
But during our process of filming, we go to the libraries, the local libraries. We try to dig up history and we try to figure out, what some correlations are. And one of the things that I started uncovering was that in all these locations where we see the spook lights, there are high volumes of either Bigfoot sightings or UFO sightings or both. So then this kind of got my mind wandering, because the guy that owns the camp, their thoughts were that Bigfoot was an interdimensional being. And I'd heard this a lot. I'd talked to people that had the same theory. But, if Sasquatch has a different formation in its brain that allows it to alter its reality, quantum theorists think that even we can alter our reality with our minds. But let's say Bigfoot is actually capable of this. What if Bigfoot is able to open up a rip in time and space, and that's why they disappear when you pursue them? Or when you're taking photos and they turn out blurry, what if it is distorting the reality around it? And that's why it turns out blurry. So if we set that piece right here, and then we look at aliens, UFOs, I don't think that they would be traveling at light speed and dodging all these asteroids and planets and things like that to get from point A to point B. You'd have to open up a wormhole or some kind of rip in time and space.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what if what we're seeing is the residue from rips in time and space when these beings or entities are traveling?
Yeah. That sounds like a good explanation. I don't know if I'd go for the Bigfoot side of it.
It's improbable, but not
but the
impossible.
UFO thing, sure.
you know,
like maybe Bigfoot's an alien. That's possible.
I wouldn't say it's alien. I would more or less say interdimensional at this point.
Well, interdimensional is kind of still alien, right? I mean, you're just an interdimensional alien as opposed to an interstellar alien.
Canadians are aliens too, so
well, boy, they are. They are, unless you're in Canada.
I know I mentioned before we went live, one of my favorite theological teachers is a guy named Dr. Chuck Missler. And I discovered him by accident because I was searching for alien stuff related to the Bible. And he does a briefing pack. You guys might want to look it up. I think you can get it on YouTube. It's called Alien Encounters. And he used to work in naval intelligence and stuff. And so he would talk about the stuff they would see on radar, where it would be doing the speed of sound and it would do a right turn angle, which is not possible in physics, right? Anything in there would be dust. It would, and so he talks about it, but he talks about, of course, it's the idea of the interdimensions. And these beings, like angels, fallen angels or whatever, are not the same as us. They're interdimensional beings. They can skip through these dimensions and such. It's fascinating. It's an older video, and he's probably wearing a plaid suit. But
that's G clothing right there,
right? If I had one, I would have wore it tonight. But but no, seriously, like I'll send you guys the if I can find it. It's kind of older, but it is really great. And then I think it's just,
I've heard of his name.
He's what I love about him.
Missler,
Missler.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that name before.
He's like, what I loved about him was, so and full disclosure, I'm a Christian, but I grew up in the church. But I always wanted to know, there are things in the Bible that'll say, like, God will say, like, I'm the first and the last, I always have been, and I always will be. And you're like, well, that's not possible. How can that be? And I'd ask my mom, and she'd go, oh, well, you'll know one day. And I'd be like, well, that's not good enough. I wanted to know the answer. Well, Dr. Missler actually answered a lot of those questions for me as I went, because he's very scientific. Mm-hmm. He passed away a few years ago. But one of my absolute favorites because of that scientific approach that he takes, But also, when you guys brought up the Sasquatch, man, it cracks me up because I know Justin is probably laughing out there, but the end of our Spook Light story involves it doesn't really involve Sasquatch, but he thought there was one because when we were waiting for the Spook Light, we're in the back of the limo, we get out, and you know how the doors, they lock open so that they don't accidentally close on the person, the celebrity in there.
Yep.
He opened it and it went click and locked open, and he got out on the gravel road, and I'm just standing there by the door, and we're just waiting, and the Spook Light doesn't come back, Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden we hear this in the woods, and I'm sure it was a deer, I mean, we're out in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Joplin.
And this dude like turns and he yells out Sasquatch, and he jumps at me.
Oh my God.
And he was a real skinny dude, and I was pretty stocky, and he took me into the air, and we both landed on the ground in the limo. and the door is still like open, and we both kind of look up at the door, and it just goes and closes, and we're both like, what? Drive. So
this will make a good short film.
I know, it was hilarious. But so we actually afterwards, we're like, we're not going to tell a story about the actual Spook Light, the actual real thing. We're going to talk about how we saw Sasquatch.
Or how the limo driver thought
So-
he saw Sasquatch and then dog piled you into the car.
Yeah. Luckily, he was on it. He took off. He's like, all right, that's it, guys.
So fun story. Fun story about the
limo driver on here
Joplin
too.
Spook Light. I back in 2009, I went out there with another paranormal team, and we actually captured a really good EVP out there. So a lot of people don't know on Spook Light Road, there's been a lot of deaths, people getting hit by cars and such. There's some Civil War history out there. There's also the Trail of Tears that is nearby. And so there's a lot of death that has happened out there. So like paranormal activity happening out there does occur.
Sure.
It is still part of the Ozarks. And of course the Ozarks
Spooky
has
place.
it's got a lot of legends and lore, and especially about Momo and there's been a lot of UFO sightings out there in Joplin as well. Some major ones too. One that kind of stuck in my head, especially regarding the Spook Light, because this happened to it was one of the ladies we interviewed. It was somebody that she knew, and I'd spoken with damn it, not BFRO, the UFO MUFON.
Oh, MUFON. Yeah.
A MUFON representative out of Missouri, because they investigated it and they got pictures of some of this stuff. But there was a craft that was seen in outside of Joplin, is closer towards the Spook Light, and this guy and his wife were in a Jeep, and they decided to follow this thing. And it stopped and it was hovering, and they just happened to see somebody outside, and they hollered at this person to look at it, and the guy jumped in the Jeep with them whenever it moved, and they continued to follow it. Well, as they were following it, they all received radiation burns, and the Jeep actually received radiation burns from this craft. They followed it to a field where it hovered, and then it just shot off, but the markings from the Jeep were still there. Their burns on their skin, on their body, that was pretty prominent. I've seen the photos of their injuries and stuff. So UFO stuff in Joplin is absolutely bizarre. I don't think it gets any notoriety or
It doesn't get enough.
any attention.
Yeah, enough attention for sure. Yeah.
I mean, we're close enough to some Air Force bases too. So
sure. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. That's.
You can imagine the first time somebody saw a stealth bomber.
Oh yeah.
Me
too.
Like what the heck is that?
Yeah. Well, that explains. That does explain away a lot of UFO sightings and that time frame when it was being developed and everything, and nobody knew it at the time. But the government's perfectly fine with letting everybody's imagination go wild, and that's 100% of the time.
It's like a lot of these guys that come out to disclose stuff, they're probably doing that on purpose. They're probably still with the government. The government like, please go ahead and tell them this.
Okay, so I have a theory on that. There's the misinformation theory, right? And that's kind of what you're saying there.
Yeah. But
then there's also like with Bob Lazar, for example. I know we're talking about the spook lights, but you start talking about UFOs and all that comes together. So, like Bob Lazar, I believe Bob Lazar believes what he's saying, right?
Oh, yeah.
I believe just looking at that man and watching him, and then just all the interviews he's done over all these years, and his story stayed the same, as wild as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm not saying I don't believe what he said, but perhaps he was made to believe these things. Perhaps they pulled the wool over his eyes. Yeah, and made a big production. If for so many people to believe that Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing in a studio, so if you believe that, how much of a step is it to believe that Bob Lazar was basically fooled by Hollywood props and everything else, and the stuff that he worked on was just maybe high tech, whatever.
The only chink in that armor is the element 115, I think it is. I think that's the number.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
But
that is a point. There's a lot. That's not the only chink. There's several chinks in the armor.
Yeah.
There's several problems with the story. What problems with it being
the government telling him,
misinformation, pushed onto him and without his knowledge. But that is a possibility. And then somehow he might have made another discovery or something, and who knows? I don't know. It's hard to say. And just because he tells us this story doesn't mean he's telling us even everything he knows.
Well, see,
I wonder if he's holding back.
With that, he's been telling this story since the late 80s. I think it's been.
Yeah, I think he went on Coast to Coast, and then he did it. With George Knapp. Yeah.
And we haven't. Nobody's really gone down this road of maybe the government's got him set up to do this without him knowing. Right. This hasn't really become a thing until more recently.
Right.
So even then, could that be another,
another layer of misinformation?
Yeah, they try to discredit him. They try to hide the fact that he went to this college and was working here or whatever. That didn't work. People are still believing him.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go this other route of let's try some disinformation. And, the thing about that, about Bob Lazar, the guy's never sought fame and fortune.
No, he hasn't really. He's never asked. Well, I mean, to my knowledge, I've never had him on it for an interview, but he doesn't ask for money to do interviews. The dude's got his own business. He builds scientific experimental equipment, like stuff scientists would use in the lab to do whatever, and a lot of it's nuclear, pertains to nuclear energy or whatever. And this dude built a hydrogen powered Corvette. He took he took a Corvette and he converted it to a hydrogen, and he's got all the tanks in the back, and you actually just fill it with water in it. And he did all this, and this has been a long time ago. And he actually built a particle accelerator, like a mini CERN, on his property. And it's crazy, dude. I can't remember the name of the video I watched, the interview they did, and they walked through his lab and everything. But that dude's grinding away still to this day. And he's not like some, wahoo who he's very credible.
There's a documentary I don't know if it's come out yet or if it's about to come out with him. But in the documentary, apparently he got raided by the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was that he stole some elements or
unobtainium.
So, some stuff that he wasn't supposed to have, and that wasn't available from this planet.
Mm-hmm. What they call it? Was it called unobtainium?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was element 115, but I think it was. They called it unobtainium, or maybe I saw that in a movie. I don't know.
This was supposed to be something that helped like these crafts drive or something, some kind of
time,
part of the propulsion system, or
however they warp space time to travel from one place
flux capacitor
to another. Basically, that's what it is. It's the MacGuffin. That's what we're looking at here. Is the MacGuffin, like you would have
got it from O'Reilly's
plot driver. So dude, did you see that? Did you see that on O'Reilly's? I don't know if that's still on there anymore. If you haven't, go on the O'Reilly's app or the website and punch in what is it 1.21 gigawatts or something, 1.12 gigawatts, and it will bring up the flux capacitor. And they're out of stock, unfortunately. Always. But that's cool. So your basic so what you ended up with is sort of like extraterrestrial interdimensional interference in our space, basically.
With the spook lights, it just boils down to rips in time and space. What is coming from, whether it's happening naturally or by some being, they just happen to be coincidentally happening in locations where there's high reports of Bigfoot activity or UFO activity.
Well, and it makes sense. And also, here's the thing: could like if aliens were visiting, right, and they wanted, I would think of them as kind of like the government. If they don't want us to know, they're going to make us think something different, right? And so they could pop in throw a little light show out there for you, so you're distracted, so you see this thing and you're not actually pulling a sleight of hand, basically, or or they are interdimensional in the sense that they exist in a dimension that we can't see them, but they can see us. And like you said, we are just seeing the residual effects of them interfering or crossing or kind of interacting with our dimension.
Yeah.
I think it would be similar to like a fish in the water. If you reach into the water, and
you're displacing water.
Yeah, you're displacing water, but the fish doesn't know all that, because the fish is it's a decent analogy for two-dimensional, right? Because there is
you pull your hand out, then you got drops dripping into the water,
right?
So there's going to be some kind of telltale sign that you
what
were
is
there.
That? And the fish don't freaking know, but it scares the hell out of them, kind of like the spook lights do us. Unobtainium sounds like washer fluid for headlights. It does kind of sound like that, Kevin Davis. So Rick, you said that this thing split into two pieces, or two different balls when it flew away, or actually
two balls.
Said it first. Two balls.
Yeah, when it flew away. Yeah.
And so, have you heard any stories about multiple lights or that same thing happening, David, where
Oh, absolutely.
So
this is another common report from the Joplin Spook Light, is people have seen it split into two or three different balls. But I will say, like at the Brown Mountains, like there's multiple lights that are seen out there. And with the Brown Mountains, I will also say there was a lot of NASA activity out there back in the 70s.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think about all this?
This makes me go, It makes me wonder too. You got the spook lights, like Dave describes, but what's the difference between like a spook light and a realistic orb that are three-dimensional? Because I actually seen a three-dimensional orb at Pythian Castle before, a small one that me and about three attendees watched it float through the room with a light blue glow and then shoot through the closet.
What if ghosts are also
residual from ghosts? Yeah, right. That's kind of my sort of. I've been saying that for a minute, that I believe that like EMF spikes, right? Like if EMF spikes, if we're getting EMF spikes, and we believe it's because of whatever paranormal activity we're investigating, a spirit, for example. I would imagine that it's not necessarily always. There may be some beings in some other dimension that are able to like control EMF fluctuations and use it as a form of communication. But I think that it's more of the EMF spikes would be like a residual effect of that spirit being there, interacting with
traveling
or speaking, or giving you chills, whatever. That's like an interaction, right? That's them reaching into our reality and interacting with us. And I think that in itself can cause EMF spikes, static electricity spikes, discharges and things like that.
Well, do you think maybe like with EMF spikes, if like whenever people feel cold spots, they focus on the cold. This pisses me off. Number one, people feel a cold spot, then focus on the cold spot. That's the lack of energy in that area. Not that there's a ghost there.
Yeah.
So look around you.
Everything's kind of slowed down for a second, that it's the things contract.
Like the cold spot's happening here.
Right.
The energy buildup's got to be somewhere else, right? So what if the EMF is kind of like the same thing? Like that's the energy buildup to it happening somewhere.
Right. Yeah, it could be a residual, like a, or maybe not. I don't even know if there's a word for that, like a precursor to. I wanted to say presidual. That's a new word. That's a new word. Everybody, write it down, learn it.
On it, girlfriend.
But yeah, so it could be like a sign of something's about to happen. It can also be a sign that something is happening or something just happened. Yeah, I think that's totally possible in my mind. That's kind of where I'm sitting right now. Rick, speaking of spirits, I know like you're not real into the paranormal thing. How about the spirit world? What do you think about that? I know earlier you said you never had any real paranormal experiences outside of the Spook Light, but where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it would take a long time to go through. I mean, my studies on this, it goes back to the Garden of Eden. It goes back to creation. It goes back.
Sure.
It goes
demons.
It goes back to, yeah.
We're in the last half hour, Greg.
We
you just now mentioned it.
Greg doesn't allow me to talk about demons until the last half hour.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay.
Yes. So now we're free.
We're free. Well,
we're free to talk about demons now. So
demon
fire away, boys.
And the spook lights are from demons, right?
It could be. How do you know? It very well could be.
Yeah,
it could be Beelzebub. It could be Azrael. It could be angels. Could be angels. Could be angelic interactions, because demons are fallen angels. They would have similar abilities, right? And similar.
Or fairies.
Wait,
fairies.
Are demons actually fallen angels?
Some of them are.
Well, so
historically, I'm not going to say that God ever said that. I'm going to say that, that's what they've been labeled as, just because of the origin of what they believe their power is. Like, does that make sense?
Well, yeah. And so if you watch this, in fact, I'll give you another link. Dr. Missler also has a 3 or 4 part series called Angels and Demons. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty fascinating because he goes through the Bible and talks about, angels, fallen or not. They don't, like, demons have to seek to possess. They have to inhabit something. They have to, whereas an angel, several times throughout the Bible, people entertained angels unaware. They didn't know that wasn't another person. And that's the difference. Fallen angels, we know they came to earth, and they took women, and we had the Nephilim after that, right?
Right.
And so, demons not going to be able to go and have offspring with a woman like that. I mean, it's going to have to be, whether it's an angel or fallen angel.
I think that's like a somatic thing, it's like a label given to supernatural beings. And when I say supernatural beings, I don't mean paranormal beings like spirits, like ghosts. I mean like supernatural, like exist out, like angelic, demonic. I think traditionally it's been looked at that way historically. Perhaps not like biblically. But well, even biblically, it kind of jumps around it. There is a lot of talk of demons. There is a lot of talk of demons.
Jesus, remember when he cast out?
And that's kind of what I was saying when Captain Mike was on, I think. Like the fallen angels, right? Are they demons? Or is that maybe, did they stay? It never says if they stayed or not, right? I mean, it kind of hints at it a little bit here and there, and throughout the Bible and other religious or Christian texts and Jewish texts. There is kind of a breakdown of the demonic hierarchy, right? The demonic hierarchy, but it never actually says that they're demons or that fallen angels became demons after that.
Right.
They just turned away from God. So I think we assume that they're demons because that's kind of what Lucifer did, sort of. He turned away from God because he wanted to put himself above God. So in a sense, I guess that's kind of where
Yeah, because the Bible does show, where demons are, Jesus cast out demons. They wanted to be, they said, well, and they even said, hey, are you come here to, destroy us before the time? And they said, send us into the pigs. And he said, okay, fine, go to the pigs. And then the pigs ran off the cliff and killed themselves. Right. So,
yeah.
I think the thing is with you have the Bible talking about how Peter, the book of Peter, Jude, they quote back to the book of Enoch, and they talk about the
book of Enoch. Now we're talking,
and we start talking about these fallen angels, and the Bible, the actual Bible, the canonized Bible says hey, these guys are bound in chains under Tartarus now. That's where they're at right now. Well, they're not out here haunting the earth; they're bound in chains underneath the earth, and they're awaiting their judgment. Some would argue they're getting it now, but the book of Enoch expounds on it and says each one, hey, they taught the humans cutting of roots. They taught the humans this, and they taught them all this stuff.
Almost like a pantheon of gods, right? Almost like a pagan type belief system where you have like I can't even think of the word. There's something theistic where you have multiple gods.
Polytheistic. Yeah.
Polytheistic. There we go. So yeah, that's interesting to me when I learned that each demon, like that was but that was also the fallen angels.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's interesting to me. And also, like speaking of the Bible, like the book of Job, right? When Satan goes before God, and God says, wherefore hast thou come? And he says, from roaming to and fro upon the earth. You're like, okay, so the devil's never been to hell, apparently, or he's not there. He's not bound there, right? And so you have a lot of angels that also seem like scary as hell, right? Like they're scary. Like Abaddon, right? Is the Abaddon guards the pit, the bottomless pit. And so this is all crazy stuff. And I've got Abaddon over a spirit box before. Could have been a religious radio show. I don't know. But I know I was asking if there was something here. And this was in a house where somebody close to me had died just like the day before. And I was in the house. There was some weird stuff going on. One of my relatives asked me to, I don't want to give names out, but one of my relatives asked me to come in with a box and a spirit box and see if I could figure something out. And I went in and I asked who's here. And I got Abaddon. And I was like, okay, that's all for today.
Well, let me get this, KD. So, KD, let me get this. You have attorneys who chase ambulances. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you chase.
I do not chase. Only when requested, sir.
I can see you being a hearse chaser with your gear.
I did have a hearse.
True.
Yeah. Well, is it KD Huff?
Well, Dr. Messler has this theory.
That's messed up, David.
He had the theory that demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, which distinguishes them from fallen angels. And
they're also called unclean spirits, right? They referred to as unclean spirits. And so, I tend to think that the stronger hauntings that we have, like the stronger stuff, what's been described as poltergeist, or when somebody gets burned or scratched, something's thrown across the room. Basically, when things are interacting with us on that level where they're manipulating objects and they can actually reach out and touch us. I seem to think that that's something a little bit more than just the spirit of a passed on human. Now, that being said, so you know about Enoch, right? So you're very familiar. Mm-hmm. And so Enoch went on to become Metatron, according to the Jewish text,
Megatron?
right? Metatron, but
Now we're talking
he
about
actually
Transformers.
it says in the Bible, it says in our Bible, in the Christian Bible, I'm a Christian too. It says in the Holy Bible that it says they took him up into heaven, right?
It says he was not. Yeah.
Right. And right. And so, but then, I can't remember, is it the Talmud or it's the Book of Enoch, right? The Book of Enoch actually goes into a little bit more depth on that. I can't remember which book it is, but it basically lays out that he became Metatron, the scribe, and all this stuff, right? Now, if you believe that, I'm not saying you do, but if one did believe that, then one could also believe that possibly a human could become a demon.
Yeah, I don't believe that a human could become a demon. The souls of man. So if you believe that the Nephilim themselves, I almost said Fields of the Nephilim, that goth band. If you believe the spirits of the Nephilim, see, it goes back again, ties back to the beginning of creation, when man sinned and the earth became, broken, and man became broken. Death entered into the world, all of that. Well, God came in and said, here's the plan of redemption. I'm going to do this. Well, then Satan's going, oh, well, I've got time to thwart this. What am I going to do? Well, God said, I'm sending the Savior. I'm going to send the redemption through the seed of man. It's going to go through the seed of Adam all the way through David, and it's going to be, of course, it's going to, that's the idea. Well, Satan's going, well, that's easy. I just need to taint that line. Mm-hmm. So let's get some fallen angels to come in here. And so when the Bible talks about Noah, it says, and in the days of Noah was perfect in all his generations. Well, no one was perfect. We know that. Right. But what Noah wasn't, his generations weren't tainted by the Nephilim phenomena. So when we look at the Nephilim and we think, it says that the Bible says they were the mighty men of old, the legendary men. Well, they were giants. Yeah, giants. They could be. We talk about Greek gods and all that. Well, what if those were Nephilim? Right. And they were eating people. Right. I mean, this is well, if all of a sudden all the lines of man were starting to be tainted by this race of hybrids, except Noah's, well, then God comes along and says, I'm killing everybody except starting over people. Yeah. And so thwarting Satan's plan to taint that so that the redemption can't come through the line that God already prophesied. Well, of course, Satan ought to know that, hey, look, if God's prophesying it, then he already knows it's going to happen. He knows the beginning from the end. You're actually going to lose. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to try. I don't know. It feels like a lost cause, but Right. So, but I digress. I mean, it's a long thing, and it is a long thing. It can get very, very tangled, and it's easy to get even sidetracked and off on some other topic of it, and then you end up God knows where, and that's kind of the shroud over it that kind of blurs our logic when we go into thinking about stuff like that. It kind of goes along with that. A lot of rabbit holes, man. David, you ever seen a demon?
Just my ex.
Oh, damn. Sorry, dude.
I'm sure everybody
I am just so everybody knows here, Pair X, I am reading the chat box. Ha ha.
It's just rude to put it over his face while he's talking.
I don't want to put it over their faces while they're talking, like I will go into a thing here at the end where I go through and I look at comments and everything, but I don't want to cover everybody's faces. But I am definitely reading the chat.
I think we're getting down to the last 15
We are
minutes,
getting down to the last. We are. So
we need to make sure Rick and Dave get the plug where they can be found at and they get their, music.
Exactly.
Okay.
Rick, yeah, not that kind of plug, David.
All right.
Bad boy.
Rick, some of those type of plugs have a spook light as well nowadays.
Yeah, they do. That's definitely a spook light for sure. That's spooky. So Rick, where can everybody find your music and the awesome stuff that you do?
rickmester.com, RICK, M as in Mary, ESTER.com. I write stuff there, and all the links to my various projects. And Craig's got the Eli CD up there.
Mm-hmm.
Sombrance Eli.
That's very cool. It's good stuff. And if you like the intro song, it is from that Ishur Ninku.
Yeah.
And that's a banger, man. I dig that.
Yep.
I appreciate that, guys. I really do. All these years, it's oh yeah.
Look at Rick.
Yeah, look at
that hair, man. That's nice.
That's a baby face
nice
there.
That's a nice head of hair you got there, sir.
No gray, man.
All right, David, where can everybody find you at? As if we don't already know.
Mostly on Facebook. You know, I've been trying to stretch out into other social media, so I've got an Instagram now.
Nice.
I don't really use it, but I try to.
I haven't posted to Instagram in a long time. But you have your YouTube channels. You have Haunt Ed.
Ghosted.
Ghosted.
It used to be my haunting history channel. I just rebranded.
You confused me.
This Saturday on Dark Realm TV, if you've got Roku or Amazon Fire Stick, subscribe to Dark Realm TV. New episodes of Ghosted will be releasing starting Saturday. I went on like a 12-day road trip and filmed like 9 locations. So all those locations got filmed for the show. So go to Dark Realm, check it out. There's a 7-day free trial if you want to check it out. It's not very expensive. It's like $4.99 a month. If you subscribe for a year, it's $50. So it's not that expensive, and you get nothing but paranormal content and some wrestling.
Cool.
I also
Paranormal wrestling.
I'm only watching wrestling if David's doing
it. Play some Battleship though.
Well, we're gonna do that, bud. I'm gonna figure that one out.
But the one of the biggest things though I've got going on this year, I am booking events for the Midwest Mystery Tour, which is basically you go ghost hunting with me, and you get to participate in some of the experiments that I run during the investigations. It's like no other ghost hunt you've ever been on.
Nice.
What's been crazy is like people that have been skeptical are believers. People that haven't had experiences but are believers, they end up with experiences. We've had some bizarre results where people are seeing the same entity at locations. It's crazy. If you want to get tickets, I have one event set up right now for the Old Park Hotel in Texas, Bollinger, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You can go on Eventbrite, just search for Midwest Mystery Tour, get your tickets for that. You can actually get a ticket for the investigation, or you can get for an overnight where you get to stay at the location after the investigation. You get your own room. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much my spiel.
Yeah, when you said mystery tour, I would think you get some people to meet at a parking lot, and they're gonna go on a tour.
Lord,
and you put the hoods over their heads, and then you drive them for hours to a haunted place.
I thought this was going in a different direction, dude.
That's not a bad idea.
Different direction. I did not know what direction you were headed with that when you talked about getting a bunch of dudes in a parking lot. I was like, oh no, where is he going with this?
Greg, that's really not a bad idea. Is kind of doing a fake kidnapping.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Well, a haunted mystery tour.
Let me know how much the insurance.
They don't know where they're going to end up.
Yeah, no doubt. I hope nobody's packing. But what I predicated. Oh, damn! What I predicated last year's tour events off of was fear, and how much that influences the investigation. Yeah. So, like, one of the locations I did was the Carpenter's Mortuary, which was a haunted house attraction, but it used to be a mortuary. And as soon as everybody got there, I let them all know, hey, guess what? You're going to be going through the haunted house attraction in operation with all the haunters, and you're going to go one at a time. and everybody went through, scared the crap out of them, put that energy into the atmosphere, and then we had a great
That's
night.
a good way. I like that.
Yep.
So doing the fake kidnapping, you take them to a location, you put a bag over their head and
They did
build some
that.
fear.
That would
There's
do
some
good
kids
too.
did that on YouTube recently. It didn't go over too well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna plug my stuff right here.
Ooh.
Good lead into that. Shut up, David. God dang it. So Tracy Rizzo.
Dang it, he plugged it.
I'm gonna plug it. Tracy Rizzo says, KD, how can I get a hold of you about equipment? You can message us on Supernatural Inc. on Facebook. You can message me basically there. You could holler at somebody on the PTF Facebook page if you can't get a hold of me there, but you should be able to. And
Is that all
yeah,
it takes
we got
to get
the
a hold of your
YouTube.
equipment?
Yeah, to get a hold. Yeah, you just never ends with you.
Question:
No.
You have an Instagram?
I
Like
didn't
Dave
say
does.
that. Tracy said that. I just read it. Okay, I just read it out loud. I do have an Instagram. Basically, all the social medias I'm on there: TikToks, Instagrams, but some of TikTok is KD Knox Stafford, and yeah. So, and then Greg, got some stuff you want to throw out there?
I think I can. Give me a second here, real quick. Of course, on the PTF side, we have to plug because we scheduled this at the last minute. I had to wait for the Minot Britain Historical Society board to meet, but we're going to be doing an overnight ghost adventure in Potosi, Missouri. A lot of our attendees, they love it. They keep coming back, and that's on Saturday, September 27th. And you can see where to get tickets here and on Eventbrite. And Katie's been there before, so
yeah, I love that place. It's a mining town.
It's 3 different places we rotate the people. There's only 30 attendees, but 3 buildings that we split them in groups of 10 and rotate them through. And there's even a cemetery area, weather permitting.
Oh yeah, this place is super cool. Yeah, I love it. I like the Long Bantha House. Me and Jerry's had a lot of good times up there. He's got.
It never ends with you.
That's because you have such a dirty mind, David. Can't just speak normally around David Glidden, y'all.
But tickets basically this went on sale and they're gonna go quick. So if somebody wants them, they want to jump on and get it before they sign or sell out.
You want to say something about that, David? You want to?
Nope.
Somebody wants some? You better jump on it and get it.
I ain't jumping on it.
So that's PTF. That's PTF.
I do got a question for Rick.
What's that? Go ahead.
I know going back and forth for Rick before this. I know Sombrance is coming out with some new music. Are they ever go on tour again?
Oh man, probably. Sombrance is kind of just me now. We had a band for a while and then we kind of got old and didn't want to practice anymore. And now I just kind of write songs. So yeah, there's a new album, probably about 75% done. It's going to be called Nearing the Veil. Kind of about, long story short, for a little while after my father passed, I started having a lot of really terrible death dreams. And they were intense. And so I started writing about it. And this is going to be sort of a kind of a loose concept album about nearing the veil.
Awesome.
Wow, I look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to check
and
that out.
Dave, are you going to be doing another sequel to Into the Light 3? Because you got Rick here that you could use on that as well.
So last year or the year before, I think it was the year before, I attempted to try to do something in regard to ITL3. I have the idea. Everything's kind of worked out really, except, getting funding for a film is quite difficult. But I do have some things in the pipeline that I would love to talk about, but I cannot.
Real quick.
Although...
Everybody in the chat, do you have any questions for David Glidden or Rick? Punch those in now. and we'll get them in. I'll give everybody 5 or 10 minutes here. I don't want to hold Rick up too long, or David.
I'm sure they'll let us know when they gotta go.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything. With Into the Light 3, in regards to that, one of our biggest goals, and this stems from ITL2, we really wanted to get back out to North Carolina and go back to the Brown Mountains. We have this plan that we want to attack different mountains and coordinated team. So like whenever we do see the Spook Light, that we can actually send a team with drones and go towards and try to collect data with in regard to those locations. We really want to get up close and personal with the lights. That's the goal.
Wow.
The closer you can get, the better it'll be, and the more information we can garner from that. And I think at some point there's going to be a time for that. It's just not right now. But I think that is in the future.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sorry. I was going to say, with new technology now and the new drones, you could actually go chasing the light.
Yeah, this is what's bizarre is like if you watch the Skinwalker Ranch show, a lot of the stuff that they're talking about they're seeing lights out there, and a lot of what they're talking about is exactly what I've been talking about since 2019 in regard to the light. It's pretty interesting what's going on out there with their light situation. But like you said, the technology is changing and it's improving, and if we can get closer to the light, the closer we can get to it, the more we can study it. And again, that's going to be something that's going to be kicked down the road. Some other things in the pipeline, which Katie, I'll have to talk to you.
Yeah, David, you've hollered at me about working on some stuff with you, and I've always told you I'd be glad to.
I've got something
Tracy,
big for you coming up.
I'm sure.
No,
sure you do. You always. I thought you were going to say something dirty.
Yeah,
Tracy Rizzo says you guys have to get closer to SC, South Carolina. LOL. Well, Tracy, there's something in the works. Boom. I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to say
it will be close
just yet. But
can I guess?
No, you cannot guess, David.
Aww.
Don't do it, because anybody that could, there's people that will know. Okay.
Can I guess?
No, because you know stuff. You know for sure stuff. David,
at that point, Greg, it's not a guess, it's a no.
Oh, I see.
David knows enough to where he probably knows. Linda
I get
Scott. Linda Scott says that was great last year, but I can't make it. 9/27. Oh, well, we'll miss you, Linda. Ken Bresky says, love the church and graveyard. That's at Potosi. Yeah, it's awesome. That graveyard's pretty spooky. Tracy. I think this was for you, Rick. Death Dreams from Grief.
Yes.
Yeah, that's tough, man. You know, that actually, Tracy, maybe the mill. That's not saying too much, because there's lots of mills in South Carolina. But that reminds me, you talking about death dreams. My grandfather, and I still don't know if this was a dream or if I actually saw it. But when I was a little, I guess I was maybe 7 or 8.
He was a little guy.
I was a little dude. And my granddad died. And I called him Poppy. And so he died. And it was crazy. I, didn't really obviously know anything about ghosts or anything at that point. And but I woke up in the middle of the night, and I still remember it to this day. And I looked towards the bathroom door, and when he was dying, he had cancer. And when he was dying, he was like skinny as a rail. We basically had to help him do everything, but he would, I remember being a kid and being in that room, and he would shuffle down the hallway, and he would just be in his underwear, in his tidy whitey underwear, and they would just hang on. It was a very grim sight. actually, but it didn't really scare me until I saw it after he died, and I saw him come through the doorway. And, to this day, I don't know if it was a dream or if it was real, but I can tell you, and he was just lit by everything was completely dark. TV was on, we didn't, at midnight, it cut off. And this is why I think it could have been real, is because it was just so vivid. I even remember the, just static on the TV, right? And, cause you get the on Sunday night, you get the national anthem, and then they'd shut it off, right? And it would go to static. And so I seen him walking through the doorway again, but this was after he died. And so that freaked me out. And that's possibly my first paranormal experience that I can recall. But yeah, that's crazy, man. And, that affected me, whether it was a dream or not, still to this day, affected me. So, maybe a death dream is I don't think that was a good way to help me cope with his death. If he was trying to do something, he definitely screwed that up. But in other people's cases, it's a way for others to help us cope with their loss. Maybe a last goodbye. Maybe it's a way of our brains working it out, our subconscious working it out, or whatever. Yeah. But anyway,
that's kind of, I can relate to that. After my brother died when I was 16, I had a dream, an extremely vivid dream, where it was like Christmas morning, and his kids were at the house. We're all doing the gift unwrapping and everything, and there's a knock at the door. Open it up, and there he is. And he tells me that he's fine, he's okay, don't worry about him, and all that shit. Very vivid dream, so vivid that I woke up from it sobbing. And I kind of attribute that as a not a catalyst, but a part of why I do what I do, because I had that dream, and what's going on the other side, where you can come back and do that to somebody. It's interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah.
Or
is it a piece of them that's left with us, also in our brain, in our mind, or whatever.
Our mind's telling us it's time to move on. This is how.
Or maybe it's, or perhaps it is real. It is a real interaction, but it's a piece of that person that was left behind in you, right? In your consciousness. Yeah. There's a piece of everybody that you love in there, and because they take up that amount of space in you.
But that's also the most common type of paranormal experience listed, is those type of situations, death crisis, from family members.
Speaking of that, Tracy Rizzo, well, this is an interesting one. I saw my grandmother as a werewolf type creature in a dream after she passed. Scariest damn thing. It fit her personality though. That's a light, scary light note, sort of.
If that's her personality though.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've said before. Dude, what are we like when we go through the death process? Are we on the other side? Are we more transparent, what our nature is? And what does the death process do to a person? A traumatic death. If you're raped and murdered, strangled in an alley, what would that do to a person? If let's say a person lives through that, right? Let's say they're not they come close to death, but then they don't die. You're going to be traumatized for the rest of your life. You're going to suffer from PTSD. You're going to have traumatic stress from that point forward. No matter how much counseling you get, you'll never. And so, what would the actual death process, if it happens to us like that, what would that do to us? And what will we be like on the other side? It's an interesting
I think you would find peace after.
Perhaps.
But
perhaps.
I have a question for everybody else, too. And, Rick, you're out of Springfield, right?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. That's what I meant.
Close enough.
Started with an S.
Stars with an S.
There's an S, yeah.
Are all of you going to the Crossing Realm conference on the 19th
No.
in Richmond? No,
I don't get invited to fun stuff.
What?
No. Every once in a while I get invited to something, but I don't really. I haven't done any kind of Paracons in over a year. It's been over a year since I went to a Paracon and spoke or did anything like that. I kind of took a break because we hit it too hard there for a while.
You start showing your boobies again.
Yeah, I know. They show a little leg. But so what's up with that? At Richmond, there's a conference.
Yeah, Blondes and Booze. They're doing a conference out there that I'll be speaking at. But I know there's going to be some really cool people out there some people that I've never met for once that are going to be out there. So it's going to be interesting. And I didn't know if you guys were going to attend or not, but
no, probably not. Just because I don't really, I work. I have like a full-time job, so I don't have a lot of off time. But when I do, I spend it with PTF. and go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say I'm retired and I'm taking a back seat in the paranormal starting next year. That's why KD's taking over PTF. But I like spending my time at the beach. Now I am going for a couple of weeks down to Florida in October. And you give me that or a dark, dirty, haunted place or a paranormal conference, I'm going down to the beach.
Greg, for as long as you've been in, I have a feeling you'll be back.
Oh, he ain't going
always
nowhere.
Come back.
He ain't going nowhere. I'm not going to
Oh, no, I'll be around behind the scenes. I'm not leaving for good. I'm just taking the backseat approach.
Rick, do you go to any conferences? Do you ever attend any of these things or?
No. And in fact, I don't really go to things, because there's people there and I'm scared of them all. I'm kidding.
I'm a bit of an antisocial.
It makes me sound like a wretched human being.
No, not at all.
In some cases, with a haunted location, the most scary thing are the real people around it.
That's true. Yeah,
dude, I will say that a lot, like some of the scariest places. Well, like I was talking about, the most haunted place I've ever been in was an unknown really place to everybody else, but that was my fear, is that somebody was in the house, and it was weird because it was a forensic psychiatric treatment place, and found all this stuff out, and then it made sense. But yeah, no, that the people are scary, man. Like these dudes that go into these abandoned places and do stuff, man, they're brave, dude. Like you could run into a unhoused or otherwise known as homeless person with a knife. You don't know who's hiding in the shadows, and these people just go in all willy-nilly.
A friend of mine and I used to it was about a decade ago, we used to every Saturday we'd take turns picking an abandoned ghost town to go to and within driving range of St. Louis. And so we would go Arlington and all these places and just take a photo. We both love taking pictures. Mm-hmm. And so I remember one that she picked one morning. It was supposed to be a surprise to the other person that morning, but she picked a place that was a ghost town because it's radioactive, but she didn't read that part. And so we were like,
in Missouri?
Yeah, I think it's hematite.
Yeah.
And we were like, we're starting to head out, and she tells me, and so I look it up on the phone. And I was like, might want to rethink this because
I know there's a town in Missouri that became radioactive because there was a waste plant getting rid of their toxic waste, and they were like, how do we get rid of this? And they paid a dude to get rid of it. But he found that the waste made a excellent dust, like keep the dust down. So he was going through and spraying it on the town's roads for years. I think
that was around my part of the state. That was dioxin, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. And so that's a crazy story right there, man.
Yeah, Times Beach got closed down because of that, and
It's a park.
He dusted other roads.
It's a park now. That's nice. That's a nice thought,
isn't it? Craig, it's like 56 something now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I graduated from Eureka High School when I moved out to Allington. I had friends in Times Beach at the time, and I remember back in that time sitting, because that was all trailers back then, sitting outside with some of my friends one weekends in Times Beach, and here comes the government people with their hazmat suits on, taking samples out of the soil. And people were thinking, what the hell is going on?
Right.
It was trioxin 245. That's from Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, okay.
That was what was in the canisters. Trioxin 245.
Hell yeah. Hey, Tarman coming back.
Tarman, dude. Tarman
this
was
Christmas.
Shit. Tarman was awesome. Well, you guys.
Hey, I don't know if you guys.
What do you got? No shit. Well,
my
no
air freshener.
shit. You have an air freshener.
wow.
I just made the reference.
The Tarman.
Zombies are coming, bro. Zombies are coming. What are you gonna do? So, Rick, thank you for coming on, and David, and y'all just hang out for just a second. Okay, just a second. We're gonna talk to y'all backstage.
Yeah, I want to thank both of them too. They were wonderful guests, and they worked good together with the experience that Rick had and the knowledge that Dave has.
Yeah, it gave us a real rounded out kind of idea.
Oh, I hear the beeping, so we're going off air, aren't we?
Boop, 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 boop.
Thanks,
I had to
everybody.
restart my car.
What would you say, Rick?
I said thanks, everybody. I definitely appreciate you guys having me on and talking about stuff like that. It was fun.
Yeah, man, I had a good time. You did real good, and David, you did real good too, son.
Thanks.
All right,
It's my first time.
So to everybody out there, all of our watchers, everybody who watches live, and everybody who watches in the future, if you like what you saw here, please like, share, and subscribe to the Supernatural Inc. Paranormal Network channel on YouTube, or go ahead and give us a follow on the Facebook PTF Facebook page. And I want everybody to remember this one thing. Whenever you go ghost hunting, and anytime you feel afraid and you feel like something's coming up behind you and you feel the goosebumps on your arms, always remember to do this one thing.